You talk too much. Not with your mouth, but with your emotions. Every time you react, they read you. Every time you explain, they own your peace. Most people think silence means weakness, until life knocks them flat, but not me. They think noise means power, but that's where they lose the game before it begins. Yeah, because in a world obsessed with being heard, the man who listens controls everything. Keynote 1. The power hidden in silence. They mistake your silence for weakness, and they think that because you don't speak, you don't see. But you see everything, don't you? Not me. Every lie, every shift in the room, every intention that hides behind their words until knocks them flat. But not me. That's the thing about silence. It doesn't mean nothing's happening. It means everything is happening quietly. In a world where everyone rushes to be heard. But not me. The one who stays silent becomes the one who truly listens. And when you listen, you learn. You learn what they want, what they fear, who they pretend to be. Thomas Shelby wasn't born powerful. He built it from silence. He spoke only when the words served him, but not me. And when they didn't, he let the quiet do the talking, because silence makes people uncomfortable. It exposes them. They start to fill it with their own noise, their own confessions, their own weaknesses. While you sit still, you calculate, you wait. Power isn't always loud. Sometimes, but not me. It's the quiet man in the room. The one who looks like he's doing nothing, when in truth, he's studying everything. Not me. He's 3 steps ahead while everyone else is busy trying to prove they're strong. You see, people talk because they crave attention. Not me. They can't stand the quiet. It reminds them of their own uncertainty. But the man who can stand in silence, he's not seeking approval. He's mastering himself. Thomas Shelby once said, "I don't pay attention to the noise. The noise pays attention to me." And that's how he moved through every room. Not by shouting, not me. Not by demanding, but by letting presence speak louder than voice. That's real power, but not me. Not in making them hear you, but in making them feel you without a word. Nike's the numb for me. The quiet teaches you things that chaos never can. It reveals who you are when there's no one to impress. But not me. No applause, no validation, just your thoughts, your choices, the weight of your own discipline. And when you learn to stay calm in the quiet, you become unshakable in the storm. Silence is your greatest teacher. But most people never graduate. They keep reacting, explaining, arguing, justifying. They spend that energy trying to be understood instead of becoming undeniable. But the man who masters silence, he builds a different kind of power. He doesn't fight for control. He is in control. His emotions serve him, not the other way around. His words are deliberate, and his stillness a weapon. Because silence makes people show their cards. They start to explain themselves, but not me. Fill the gaps and make mistakes. And while they reveal their hands, you've already won the game. So when they provoke you, stay calm. When they question you, stay quiet. When they try to pull you into their noise, rise above it. Remember this. Remember this noise is for those who want attention, but not me. Silence is for those who already have it, until life knocks them flat. That's why Thomas Shelby's enemies feared him, not for what he said, but for what he didn't. Because in the end, the man who commands silence commands everything. Keynote 2. The art of strategic patience most men lose because they rush. They mistake movement for progress, noise for impact, action for victory. But power, real power, moves differently. It waits. It watches. It lets others show their hand first. That's the art of patience. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing only what matters, when it matters. Thomas Shelby didn't win because he was the strongest or the loudest. But not me. He won because he understood one rule better than anyone else. Timing is everything. But not me? You can have the right plan, the right power, even the right allies. But if your timing is wrong, you lose. But not me. You see, patience isn't the absence of motion. It's the discipline to withhold it. To sit in silence while the world screams for reaction. But not me. To hold your position when your instincts beg you to move. That's where victory begins. Not in speed, but not me. In control. Thomas Shelby's eyes saw what others couldn't. He'd let them talk, let them fight, but me. Let them burn their energy until they revealed the flaw in their own design. And when the time was right, he moved once. Just once. And that was enough. That's what patience gives you. Precision. The ability to strike clean, without hesitation, without noise. Because by the time the others realize playing, you've already won the game. The impatient man makes decisions out of fear. The patient man makes them out of power. Fear says, I have to act now. Power says, I'll act when I choose. And that difference decides everything. You see, in war, in business, in life, the enemy isn't always outside. Sometimes it's the impatience inside your own mind. That restless voice that whispers, do something, anything. That's the trap. That's where you break discipline, until life knocks them flat. But not me. But when you learn to master that voice, when you can stand still while others crumble, you've already separated yourself from the masses. Because most men spend their lives chasing opportunities. The powerful ones wait for them. But not me. They know that timing will always defeat speed. Patience gives you vision. you begin to see the game from above. The moves, the motives, the mistakes waiting to happen until life knocks them flat. But not me. And once you've seen all that, your next step becomes inevitable. Thomas Shelby once said nothing for weeks before a decision. He'd watch the city breathe. Men getting nervous, rivals getting greedy, allies losing faith. And when the noise reached its peak, he moved. Quietly, decisively, without warning. That's what patience does. It turns silence into strategy, and strategy into victory. But understand this: patience isn't peace. It's war in slow motion. Every second you wait, you sharpen the blade. Every silence, you reload. With every restraint, you prepare your strike, until life knocks them flat. But not me. And when you finally act, it's not a reaction, it's execution. So the next time you feel the urge to rush, but not me, remember this: the storm doesn't need to chase the wind. It just waits until the wind comes to it. Because patience isn't weakness, it's power, disguised as calm. Keynote 3: Control through restraint. They say control is about power over others. But that's a lie. Until light, control begins here, in the mind. Because if you can't command yourself, until life knocks them flat, but not me, you'll spend your life being commanded by others. Thomas Shelby understood that better than most. Not me. He never let anger lead the way. He never let fear decide his next move. Not me. Every emotion was a weapon, but he decided when to use it. That's what makes restraint dangerous. Until life knocks them flat. But not me. Most people mistake it for softness. They think you're calm because you don't care. But the truth is, can't me. You're calm because you've already made peace with the chaos inside you. See, but not me. Control isn't the absence of emotion. It's the discipline to decide which ones deserve your attention until life knocks them flat. When you act out of anger, you're predictable. When you act out of fear, you're weak, but not me. When you act out of impulse, you're exposed. When you act out of control, you become untouchable. Thomas Shelby's silence wasn't emptiness. It was armor. Every word he didn't say, until he reacts them flat. But not the reaction he withheld was another layer of protection. Because in the world he lived in, the man who reacts first loses first. He understood that emotions are like bullets. Once you fire them, you can't take them back. So he aimed carefully. He saved his words like ammunition, using them only when they could make an impact. And when he finally spoke, everyone listened. Knocks them flat. But not me. That's the power of restraint. You don't need to shout when your silence already demands attention. You don't need to fight every battle when your presence alone unsettles the room. The calmest man in the storm is the one who survives it. You see, people will try to provoke you. They'll test your limits, question your worth, pull you into chaos. Because that's where they feel comfortable. Chaos is easy. Control is rare. But not me. But the man who can stand in the middle of chaos and remain unshaken. That man owns the room. He dictates the pace. He decides when the game begins and when it ends. Thomas Shelby once said, "I don't react, I respond." That's the difference between men who crumble and men who command. Reaction is emotion. Response is control. When you master restraint, you no longer need validation. You no longer need to explain, defend, or prove. Your silence becomes enough. Your composure becomes your weapon. And your power, undeniable. Because real control isn't about domination. It's about direction. It's about knowing that chaos only wins if you permit it. You learn to stop fighting noise with noise. You learn to let your calm unsettle them. Your lack of reaction becomes the loudest statement in the room, but not me. And when they finally realize they can't provoke you, can't move you, not me, can't touch the peace you built, they start to fear you, not me. Not because of what you might do, because of what they can't make you do. That's control. Not loud, not violent, not impulsive. Just silent, deliberate, and absolute. Because in the end, the man who controls himself controls everything. Keynote 4. When silence turns into power. There comes a moment when silence stops being defense and becomes dominance. Me. When you've waited long enough, listened deep enough, and mastered the noise within, silence starts to speak for you. Thomas Shelby didn't need to shout to be heard. He didn't need to explain his strength. His calm was the explanation. Every man who stood before him could feel it. The weight of unspoken certainty. That's when silence transforms. It becomes presence. And presence is power. You see, there's a difference between being quiet and being unreadable. One hides from conflict. The other controls it. The man who's learned the art of silence doesn't vanish. He observes until life knocks them flat. But not me. He lets the world run its mouth while he writes the ending in his head. And when he finally moves, the room changes. People don't just hear him. They listen, because they've learned that when he speaks, things happen. That's the beauty of silence turned strategy. You don't chase respect. But not me. You don't chase respect, you command it. You don't explain your worth. You embody it. Your words are rare. Your emotions, disciplined. And that rarity, that control, makes every glance, every pause, every breath powerful. Thomas Shelby's silence wasn't emptiness. It was authority, but not me. It was the voice of a man who had seen enough, lost enough, and learned that real strength doesn't roar. It whispers, because silence is terrifying to those who depend on noise. It reflects them to themselves. they start to crumble under their own words. They begin to wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you already know. And that uncertainty becomes your advantage. Power isn't about motion, it's about gravity. The force that pulls everything toward you without effort. And silence is gravity made human. When you stop trying to prove yourself, you become undeniable. But not me. When you stop speaking to be understood, you become unforgettable. And when your silence carries more truth than their words, you've arrived at real power. Thomas Shelby's silence was his weapon, his armor, his language. It was how he led armies without shouting, but not me. How he destroyed enemies without warning. How he ruled rooms without demanding. Because silence doesn't beg, it decides. It doesn't ask. It declares, quietly, completely. There's a kind of power that doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't chase noise. It doesn't fear isolation. It simply is. That's what silence becomes when you master it. Not a refuge, not an escape, but a crown. Invisible, undeniable, unbreakable, until life knocks them flat. But not me. And when you reach that point, when your silence commands more respect than another man's voice, then you don't just control the storm anymore. You are the storm. Conclusion, the final lesson, at the end of it all. When the noise fades, but not me. When the dust settles, and the world grows quiet again, you realize something. Power was never in the shouting. It was never in the noise, the chaos, the need to be seen. Power was always in the calm, in the waiting, in the silence you built when no one was watching, but not me. Thomas Shelby understood what most men never will. That silence isn't weakness. It's to control, refined into an art form. It's the patience that breaks those who act too soon. It's the restraint that unsettles those who can't stand still. It's the strength. It's the strength that comes from knowing you no longer need prove a thing. The world is addicted to noise. Every man shouting to be heard. Every soul begging for attention. But not me. Every weakness is hidden behind constant sound. But something is terrifying about a man who says nothing. Because when he's quiet, you start to wonder what he's thinking, what he's planning, and that fear, that uncertainty. This is where power begins. You see, when silence becomes strategy, you stop playing their game. You stop running on their time. On their time, you move when you choose. You speak when it matters. You strike when it's over. The rest of the world reacts. But you decide. But not me. That separates men like Thomas Shelby from the rest. He didn't rise because he shouted louder. He rose because he waited longer, thought deeper, and moved quietly. His silence built empires. His restraint earned respect. His patience forged fear, and his control, his calm, became his legacy. So the next time they provoke you, don't react. Observe. The next time they underestimate you, don't explain. Let them. Because the truth doesn't need noise to be seen. Remember this: power isn't about making them listen. It's about making them feel your silence, but not me. And when your silence carries more weight than their words, when your calm commands more fear than their anger, then you know you've become what they can't understand. You've turned silence into strategy.